The have and the have-nots, hands down, has the absolutely most. Is that in the dictionary if I say absolutely most?
Oh, absolutely.
We're just gonna make that a thing now. Y'all are the absolutely mostest, loyalistest fans ever.
Yes.
But there is one diehard fan that stands out from the rest.
That's me.
Get this. Since day one, Yolanda has been hosting viewing parties every single season.
What? What the fuck?
All right. Well, this video here. Let me just say I'm upset. And not for the reason I've been upset since Tuesday night when I was watching the cast reunion. But I'm mad because I don't have that same fire in the belly that I've had for the past 48 hours. I mean, last night I even posted, I'm like, you know what? I think I got one more video in me. And I'm like, I just need to vent. But after talking with probably 2 or 3 other people and an interesting conversation with my mom, yeah, I don't have that same anger I had. So this video, unfortunately, may not be as passionate as it would have been, say, if I recorded this 24 hours ago. But I think that perhaps because I've calmed down, I can communicate my thoughts in a more, I guess you could say, reasonable fashion. So, as you all know, I've made some interesting posts, well, mainly like 1 or 2, especially if you follow me on the YouTube community tab. But I feel like the picture everybody wants to know about is the kind of the blending of the crying Michael Jordan meme and the, you know, famous strip from the comics that was replicated in the OG Spider-Man film. At least I think it was the first one, where Peter Parker, you know, synonymously tossed his Spider-Man costume in the trash and walked away because he was done with that part of his life, or so he thought. That was me. You know, I'd say maybe Wednesday, because I think it's safe to assume you all know the reason for my rage, which was the haves and have-nots reunion special. To kind of put it in perspective, you know, again, if you follow me on the YouTube and you look in the community tab, I've made a few posts over the past week. I think the initial one was the Lilo and Stitch GIF, or the Stitch GIF, and I said, when you find out some of the haves and have-not cast members were expecting to meet you at the finale or the final cast reunion filming, which occurred, I believe, on July 12th, if memory serves. But nobody from OWN or Tyler Perry Studios reached out to you with an invite, and a lot of people responded to that like, oh my god, they made a mistake and all, because of the fact that the night of the finale, which was the 20th, right? I know it sounds weird to say, but it's like, you know, it feels like so much time has passed since then. But the night of the finale of the haves and the have-nots, I was bombarded, you know, Twitter, YouTube, especially on Instagram, with comments from fans, you know, about the finale and whatnot. But even more so, cast members just thanking me for the support and, you know, just overwhelming dedication I had to the franchise as a fan, you know. So that was you know, even when it came from cast members who I speak with on the regular, where I feel like if we actually met up in real life, you know, it would just be all love like it is online. But just like, these are people I've known over the past few years. But to actually hear from them as they were kind of doing their final bow, that meant a lot. But for me personally, you know what? I think it was the one video I did that I actually put the screenshot up, and as proof that cast members were expecting me. But I really only put up the comment that Veronica Angela Robinson put up, because if I remember, it was actually a comment she left on my Instagram live, my last live stream I did on Instagram, which was, I believe, the same night as the finale. And, you know, I didn't bash the finale. I just said it was a bit lackluster and, you know, rushed, and it really didn't give fans the time to mourn or really take in what's happening, because so many deaths were happening back to back to back to back. but she liked it because typically, you know, I'm not surprised when cast members interact on my Instagram, whether it be liking, especially if I tag them in something. But in this particular video, she commented, she liked it. She's like, hey, thanks so much for the love over the past years. And I'll put the comment on screen so you know. But she's like, I was expecting to meet you at the reunion, but best of luck in your future endeavors. I was like, wait, whoa, wait, what? What's going on here? Like, you know, I didn't really understand what's going on here because, you know, I know the OWN network had this little thing, I think since last month on their social media, were like, hey, what are some of your favorite moments from the show? And, you know, if you had a question for the cast, who would the cast member be and why? I submitted my question. I believe it was actually to John Snyder. And if I can actually dig up my email to OWN, then I will put it on screen. And when I went back to read it, I'm probably thinking, wait, that's probably why I didn't get invited. But long story short, I believe it had something to do with the Mr. Jim thing. And that's probably why. But at the same time, I'm like, when I saw that first, you know, behind the scenes photo of the reunion and then the initial trailer, I'm like, John Snyder's not there. So maybe because John Snyder wasn't available for filming, that could explain why my question wasn't chosen, I guess. But, you know, I was in the mindset of, you know what, the final season, like, you know, the Haves and Have Not, the Final Temptation special, I believe was the name of it. You know, that was the special I was in. Like, I was in for so long. I'm like, that was made for the fans, by the fans, where I think they'll do a cast reunion, which will be about the cast. So, you know, I was thinking it wouldn't really be about fans so much as the cast reminiscing, thanking the fans, but really giving us, you know, dirt and whatnot from behind the scenes that we didn't know. So, I just felt like, you know, yeah, if my question didn't make the cut, I'm like, it is what it is. But, yeah, so when I watched the reunion and I saw a couple times where, you know, fans had like little video segments where they asked a question of this character, they asked a question of that character, I was like, okay, that was a bit surprising. But of course, the icing on the cake was this moment right here.
The have and the have-nots, hands down, has the absolutely most. Is that in the dictionary if I say absolutely most?
Oh, absolutely.
We're just going to make that a thing now. Y'all are the absolutely mostest, loyalistest fans ever.
Yes.
But there is one diehard fan that stands out from the rest. Get this. Since day one, Yolanda has been hosting viewing parties every single season. She throws a halves party where she goes all out. I mean, it's catered food. And then wine bottles with the cast. And here's the party and gift bag for the halves party.
Oh my goodness.
And then there's the have-nots party. Still a ton of fun, but not so fancy. With the paper plates, hot dogs.
Oh, that is fun. Come on.
Oh, and there was once a character potato bar. I would love to have been there.
Potato.
Right, I love it. So when we heard about Yolanda, we reached out to Tyler Lepley to help us surprise this ultimate fan. Last week, we got Yolanda on the Zoom. She thinks she's about to talk with one of our producers, right? Right? We'll take a look.
You know what I mean? You don't do that. Y'all too old, first of all. You know. Yeah, so. Here they come.
It's Benny!
Whoa. What's going on, y'all? You have nots watch parties down there?
Yes, we are. We have not watch party. Hey!
So I got a surprise for you.
Don't make me have a heart attack.
We're gonna have like a cast reunion series finale party to send off the show in the proper way. So I was thinking, you know, maybe you and a friend get flown out, y'all come with us. What you think?
Oh my God!
But
Wow.
no, I don't want to. I want to let you get back to the show. I know you're watching it right now. I can speak for the whole cast. Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, all the way down. Like, we appreciate you and we love you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So love to the whole family, and I'll see you next week. All right.
All right. Bye.
Oh my goodness, he is gorgeous. Oh my God. Look, now I gotta go hug him.
I love it. Well, guess what? Yolanda is here with her best friend, Sharonda. Yolanda, where are you? Where are you? So what are you going to do now that the show is over?
I know, that's what we said. We said we would do an annual regroup, like a reunion with us, because everybody's going to miss it.
Tyler, you want to go give her a hug?
You know what, Yolanda? It's like
I got to get it, Benny.
I was telling you this on the phone, but this show doesn't go anywhere without your support. You know what I'm saying? So I don't take it lightly.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're going to take a break, okay? But we will be right back. I don't want you to move with the cast of the haves and the have-nots.
And when I tell you, my mouth, like, opened so wide that my bottom, like, you know, the cartoons where it's like their bottom jaw will just, like, you know, hit the ground, like, out of shock. Like, what? So when they said, like, you know, and we have a surprise for a super fan, like, before they went to commercial break, I was like, wait, what's going on here? So when we get back from commercial, and then, you know, they do a little more reunion stuff, and they say, yes, and so we surprised one super fan, you know, with a, you know, a surprise visit. And I'm thinking, here's my attitude. Like, when I initially saw the behind the scenes reunion stuff, people were hitting me up the day of the filming because, you know, like Tyler Lepley, Angela, all of them were like doing photos and stories for, like, you know, hey, we're at the reunion, this is going to be great. And when I saw the audience there, I'm like, wow, they got an audience? Because, you know, unlike If Loving You Is Wrong and Greenleaf, which occurred last year, those respective reunions, those are all like Zoom calls because obviously with the pandemic, they couldn't really fly people out and whatnot. So with the haves and the have-nots, like, oh, damn, they doing it up big. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, there's an audience. But yeah, you know, it's probably like people in the Atlanta area, or hell, they probably even narrowed it down to like there could be just set pieces, if you will. When I say set pieces, I mean there could be like a bunch of Tyler Perry Studio employees in the audience in order to, you know, make an audience, you know, because again, the pandemic. And I'm like, you know, wow, yeah, it sucks. I wish I could be there. But, you know, perhaps, well, you know, I'm thinking like really formally, like perhaps because I'm in Virginia and I would have probably had to get COVID tested and whatnot and this and that. And that's probably why I couldn't be brought out. So I'm like, yeah, because I was actually talking it out with somebody about the situation. Like, damn, you know, it's strange. Like I had 2 or 3 members of the cast saying they were hoping to see me, but I'm like, I didn't really know how to respond to that. Like, don't get me wrong, I was happy to get that love. But at the same time, I'm like, the way they said it, it's like, yeah, they expected to see me. I'm like, well, to my knowledge, OWN wasn't reaching out. Because I told Angela, I'm like, whoa, it's like nobody from OWN, nobody from Tyler Perry Studios, nobody reached out. Because trust and believe, if I would have got an invite, I've never even been on a plane before. I would have found some way, shape, or form to make my butt get down from Virginia all the way to Atlanta. Even if I had to get a bus or if I had to drive or something, like I would have done whatever it took to be at that finale taping. So when we get to the superfan, and like I said in my post on YouTube, this is nothing against the fan. Like, you know, I know you were happy as can be. Like on The Price is Right when they called your name and you stood up and whatnot, but I felt so much rage because, you know, with the whole Zoom thing and, you know, one of the cast surprised them. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Because again, I'm thinking like this is somebody from Atlanta. 'Cause I think a long time ago on social media, there was like a video of like a radio host or somebody in Atlanta who was a fan. And I think it was Renee Lawless who surprise visited her. I'm like, that's sweet. But again, it's like when I saw that, yeah, I recognize her. Because I'm like, you know, that's the lady from the last special with the parties and whatnot. First of all, I want to try those damn mashed potatoes. Because I was looking at the footage again. I'm like, yo, those look good. Like, you know, the haves and have not watch parties and everything. I'm like, yeah, that's legit. But at the same time, you know, I'm like, yo, that's cool. That's great. But then when Tyler Lepley popped up on the screen and said, hey, we're going to fly you and a guest out, it was that same rage when I looked, when people told me about the Ashley Miller stuff, like how she got flown out, how she got to be a part of, you know, Tyler Perry's big party and whatnot, meet all the people from OWN and everything and the cast of the show. And I remember my heart breaking when I saw that video about a couple years into my YouTube career, when people are like, you know, Tyler Perry ought to do this and that, but it never happened for me. But I felt that same feeling, that same gut punch when I watched this particular scene of the reunion, because I was heartbroken. You know, the fact that, you know, this was the shot to go to Tyler Perry Studios, to meet the cast, to be a part of the look. And this is not to take away from the Final Temptation special. That for me is a highlight of my YouTube career, or should I just say more specifically, my career as a fan of the show, to be a part of that. But this was my last chance. This is the Final Temptation. Like, my dad doesn't really, I don't think he's this isn't to rag on him, but I don't think he understands what I do, because my mom, I was sitting on the couch with my mom. I'm like, Ma, that could have been us. Because mom, if that were me, like, my mom would have been my guest, obviously, because she's the one who got me back into the show. I mean, excuse me, got me into the show during night 1. And I'm like, that's so effed up. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, if it was just like somebody in the Atlanta area, I would have been disappointed. But the fact that they flew people out, and I'm just like, what the fuck, man? You can't tell me. That's the thing. It's like, you know, and I'll get to this as I talk about more things in the aftermath. I don't think people are allowing me, or, you know, like, allowing me to feel how I feel, because I think it goes without saying, remember how I reacted to when Gene got killed on the Oval?
I'm done. As soon as the episode ended, I cut my TV off. I should have quit when Denise's head got cut off. That's what I should have done. I don't know why, but this hurt, okay? I know I'm probably in my feelings. Shit, I feel like a baby right now, man. Whew. I don't even know what to say. I don't know, okay? Okay, maybe, am I biased? Because I think I actually have a crush on Gene. That's probably why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling right now. For whatever reason, when I was oh, sorry. I'm about to eat me some ice cream that I don't need to eat. Watch me something happy and go about my night.
And I remember saying straight up, I'm quitting the Oval. Like, you know, what was it, the penultimate episode? Because if I remember correctly, season 1 ended on a 2-episode event. You know, it was like episode 24 and episode 25. But when episode 24 ended the way it did with Jason raping Gene, I'm like, I'm done with this. No, I'm out. Then people were like, dude, stop. It's a fictional character. You're in your feelings. And it's like, I had to put aside because essentially you all were saying, this isn't to everybody, but you know who you are. Fuck your feelings. We want your reviews. That's literally what it was like. And the one time, you know, I'm just like, I feel like if nothing else, I legitimately have a reason to be enraged. So, to have some people, not everybody, you know, there were people like, yo, I understand, because I actually put up a post with the Kevin Hart gif. I was like, when I tell you I wanted to break my damn TV tonight, originally I was sort of upset but understanding when I was told that some of the cast were expecting to see me at the reunion. See, I was thinking because I lived in Virginia, that transportation cost along with pandemic stuff might have kept me from the filming. However, a fan from Ohio was flown out with a guest to the reunion. No shade to the fan that got to go, because I know you are happy as can be. Those have not watched parties look legit that you throw every Tuesday. I know this will probably come across like I'm an entitled child or something, but I've dedicated years to this series. However, the final big event surrounding the show, and I wasn't even part of it, damn. This kind of shit just makes me want to close shop and be done with all things Tyler Perry related. Seems like this was more of an own decision than Perry, but still. Alright then, Gift. And you know, I looked at the almost 50 comments on there, and yeah, it was pretty intense. And the thing about it is, like I told you in one of my last venting videos where I just talked about like the house stuff and, you know, family drama and everything, I just didn't feel appreciated And I know that it sounds selfish because of the fact that, well, let me just put it up, out there. Nobody made me do this. Nobody made me choose this show to review. Nobody made me quit my job to do this full time. But in the same token, you kind of like, I don't know if you all followed that playlist I made a few years ago about Liberty University, like my time as a student, then employee there. But there was a time where I was kind of, like it was kind of a bet between me and my supervisor. The record for the most phone calls in a day was like 400 or something by one of the previous workers who then worked in a different department. He was like one of the workforce managers, and they made a bet. It was like, yo, can you break this record? If you do, we'll give you time off and this and that. It was like in a plaque. It was like, yo, because I was like the number one guy, like, the most quote unquote sales, like the most student financially checked in. I broke like 2 records during my first 3 months on the job, and I was on the job for 3 years. So essentially this was before my 2-year evaluation, if I'm not mistaken. The plaque, I'll put a picture and put it on screen to prove to you this isn't bullshit. But long story short, I walked in there. I was wearing my Michael Jackson Beat It jacket. Yes, I was that serious because it was a Friday. It was like jeans day. I'm like, yo, I'm going to go all out. And I made 518 calls, I believe, and I won. So come to find out during one of my monthly evaluations, because my supervisor like, yo, let's go for a walk. I'm like, cool, man. Because, that's how it usually goes. We either go to the cafeteria, we go into an office, basically it's just kind of like that checking in to see your stats and everything. And I'll never forget it because he walked me out, and I'm thinking like I'm old yellow because we walked to the back of the building where the dumpsters are. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Because he's like, yeah, so Dave, he doesn't want me to give you the award. Like, what the fuck? I was like, what's going on? When I tell you I almost had a nigga moment when keeping it real goes wrong. That was it. Like, I wanted to quit right there because I worked my behind off. I made y'all all that money and all. I was out of work for like 3 days because I caught like a case of pneumonia from the strain on my throat, but then also sleeping with the fan pointed at me. So I had like a touch of bronchitis, and I was a legend. So to not get that award, what I worked for, it's like, yo, what the hell? So 2 months later, I actually got the award, and that's because I brought it up in my 2-year evaluation. And kind of like Simone from the Olympics, and not to compare my situation to her, but understand there was a grading system each year during an annual review, like, on a score like, 1 to 5 in different areas. So like appearance, performance, things like that. And my boss was like, you got the highest evaluation out of anybody on the floor. Like, you would have got all 5s, but we can't give all 5s because there has to be quote unquote areas for improvement. But just know you could have got all 5s. And I'm like, so you're telling me like, I kid you not, I had like more suits and everything than like Steve Harvey. I would come in there like dressed to the 9, just to do it. And if you know me on a personal level, I love like crazy socks and ties and everything. I got so many of those. So I just like would go to work rotating the same 3 or 4 polos because like there was no use of striving for the top if I can't get graded accordingly. So I felt some kind of way about that, but I finally got my award. And, the best I got was half a day. That was all they can give me. And I was like, you know what? Bump this. So that same level of rage is what I felt on Tuesday night, where it's like the biggest slap in the face. Like, I was grateful that the cast, thought about me and everything. But it's like, as somebody who, put my life into this, it's like to not be a part of even if I was just in the damn crowd, that would have been enough for me. Don't even give me a speaking role, if you will. Just have me in the audience. That would have been phenomenal. And it's like, not to sound like an opportunist, but it's like that would have been the best way to get my YouTube channel out there, because how the fan had her parties and everything. Like, yeah, this is what she does. It's like, hey, this guy, the haves and the have-nots review, you type it in on YouTube or Google, he's the first one that pops up. Over 5,000 videos, over 180,000 subscribers, over 37 million views, and the list goes on, dedication. Let me just say, again, shout out to Ashley Miller. Like, when it comes to like consistency, she is definitely, people say I'm the king of the haves and the have-nots. She is without a doubt the queen because of her reviews. Like you can expect her reviews within an hour or less of an episode. I could do that too. The only difference is, I just put in the photos and I like to kind of link things together. I know people have compared me to her in regards to, like, you know, I look at her videos for the fun style reviews, and it's just like Ashley has that, you know what, she's like in the same room with you. Like, you know, if you two watch the show together, that's how she comes across in her dynamic and persona, which I'm like, I keep telling my sister, this is the kind of persona you got. You ought to do a channel for the shows you review, and you could do phenomenal at that. Whereas you know, you do like the analytical breakdowns, and it's not just the review. You also do follow-up theory videos and discussions and whatnot to really break down the characters. So you two have your different styles, but you're both phenomenal at what you do. And to be honest, I was thinking the same thing in terms of, you know what, I'm not there. I'm surprised Ashley Miller wasn't there in the crowd too, for real. Or at the very least, you know, co-hosting or something. Like, that would have been phenomenal just to be in that, to be on stage with these people. Come on now. But in any case, yeah, I feel like it was a bad situation. I was not in the zone, because my dad kept saying, well, they'll bring the show back. I'm like, Dad, they killed everybody. They're not bringing it back. Oh no, it will be back. Well, what you would have gotten if you would have went. It ain't really about that. It's about the opportunity to just be in the presence of these people who have just that's a milestone in my life that can't be taken away. Like, I mean, for real, it's some crazy shit. So on top of that, it's one of those situations where the past couple of days have been pretty hectic, to say the least, you know, in regards to how I've been feeling, you know. And keep in mind, like, I understand, like, I know how people you know, talk about Cardi B, how, you know, hey man, excuse me, well, you know, hey fam, it's like, you know, you really need to calm down. You shouldn't respond to all the negative comments you get. You need to respond, or at the very least, just read and focus on those who are positive about, you know, what you do for a living, because, you know, Cardi B is no stranger to getting on the internet and putting on blast to people who say this and that about her and her family. And I'm not Cardi B, I'm not Chris Brown, I'm not Tyler Perry, but I do have a sizable following, so it's hard to keep yourself in check when you got hundreds of comments saying you were robbed, you should have been there, own effed up, they need to redo the reunion with you there. It's like the disrespect, this is the slap in the face, you're the reason I kept watching the show, you're the reason I got owned. It's hard not to believe your own hype.
Do you really believe your own hype that much? I am the hype!
So yeah, you know, it's been difficult trying to navigate how I've been feeling, where it's like, trying to be calm, but then when you're being bombarded by messages pretty much hyping up the flames of your anger, yeah, it's going to make you feel some kind of way, because it's like, you know what, damn, I should have been there. It's like, I was literally in David Ruffin or Bobby Brown mode, like, you know, this is some bullshit. I did this, I did that. I'm the one breaking records. They come to watch me, especially when you got people like, you know, you're the only reason I even kept up with the show, because of the fact that you would do so well with your reviews. Like, more often than not, your reviews were better than the damn show because of how it was portrayed. It was like the same old, but your commentary made it come to life. Again, shout out to Ashley Miller, as well as some other reviewers. I actually did a video maybe a year or so ago where I pretty much, you know, gave flowers to, like, what was it, like the top 5 have and have not YouTubers, you know, not me, because remember, I didn't get into the YouTube game until like season 3. Before then, I was just on Twitter and doing my WordPress blog, so I wasn't up on here doing these in-depth videos. So, you know, I decided to shout those out. And then I remember when I reached out to all the individuals I talked about in the video, I'd say about 2 out of 3 literally said, hey, you don't have to mention me because, well, I've quit talking about the show because of the fact that it got so repetitive and nothing was really happening. So I appreciate it, but I'm like, you know, it's all good. You know, you did a good chunk of the show. So, you know, again, I just gave flowers when I could. And, you know, that really put me in some kind of mood when I just saw that it wasn't just, you know, me that was omitted, but other dedicated fans. But even worse, again, when what was it, on Wednesday, I was up for 21 hours. I was fucking pissed. Like, I wasn't eating. I was just like, so just in my feelings about this entire thing. Again, more notifications coming in. It's like, yo, they robbed you after all you did for the show and you weren't part of this final event. Biggest slap in the face ever. And on top of that, I'm because my Instagram handle is the HAHN, you know, people think it's like the official account, not to mention the fact that, you know, there's like almost 30,000 followers on Instagram. So, you know, people assume like that's honestly how some of the actors got in contact with me, because they assumed I was like this official page when I'm just a fan. But, I've been tagged in posts of people who were actually there. And when I tell you I'm seeing these long posts thanking everybody, Tyler Perry Studios own, and I wasn't a part of that, remember when Michael Jordan played baseball in Space Jam and then everybody was nice about him not being good at baseball? And he's like, his son was like, so how was it, Dad? Were they mean to you? It was like, no, even worse, they were nice about it. That's kind of how it feels, where more salt is being placed on an open wound. But like I said, because there were a couple people who I'm not going to name, even though I will thank them for listening to me vent. One of them was pretty much, you know, blunt with, you know, don't quit. That's not a good look. Keep going. And even though I haven't responded, I've actually looked at all the comments that I've had on the Instagram post. You know, the Spider-Man thing. I've gotten a lot of DMs, the messages on the YouTube community tab about not giving up, because first of all, you got way too many followers for that. Secondly, there are a bunch of other shows that aren't Tyler Perry affiliated you could do. Also, and the list goes on. Like, you know, I might do a live stream in the near future, but I just felt like this had to be the first video I did for my quote-unquote return, if you will. At least, you know, for this particular video. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. But just looking at, you know, the importance of not just, you know, your career, if you will, but mental health, especially with the Olympic thing going on with Simone. It's like, I get it. If you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. And I needed time to kind of, you know, step away and, as to not sound redundant, feel my feelings, you know, recognize why I was angry. You know, I journaled for the first time in like a month, and it was good to get like 5 pages of just anger out. Maybe that's probably why I'm not venting in this video like I thought I would. Yes, I've said some things in this video, but trust and believe, it would have been a hell of a lot more if I had done it within the past day or so, and then talking things out. You know, and some people are like, you know, maybe it's because of your reviews being too critical. I, in a sense, see where you're coming from, but I kind of got to disagree, because of the fact that when I was in the other 2 specials, on the shows you loved and the Final Temptation, I made it clear who I was to the own producers when they reached out to me. I'm like, hey, I have this channel. And if I'm not mistaken, in the Final Temptation, I remember, you know, not the Final Temptation, but own the specials you love, the shows you love. I went in depth, you know, explaining, you know, how the shows had up and downs, but I've been there since day one and this and that. So I wasn't bashing the show, but I was honest, and I was still able to make it in a special. So when it came to the Final Temptation, I'm like, oh yeah, they must be familiar with me now, because, you know, when I did that, I remember I posted my video, which was over an hour long. I did different video clips and separate entries on their Dropbox. That way it's like, hey, I did a video for each question, so it's easier for you to make the special, and they appreciated that. So I'm like, oh, that's great. So when I found out, you know, fans were being flown out and shit, you can't not expect me to feel some kind of way about it. Even if I wasn't getting hundreds of comments telling me, yeah, you were robbed, I would feel the way I feel, because no disrespect. Look, some people have called me out, if you will, and I can understand that, you know, because it's like, man, you're selfish, you're opportunist, like you expect this, but you know what, you're just like a scorned person. And I've taken time since I've calmed down to read it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But at the same time, and this isn't to bash you, but it's like, have you dedicated hours, days, weeks, months, years doing countless videos, researching the show, doing cast interviews, coming up with different scenarios, promoting the show even during hiatus, getting paid, but not from OWN or Tyler Perry Studios, but from Google, thanks to the YouTube ad revenue I'm making? And I'm not saying I'm not appreciative or blessed to be able to do what I do for a living, but you can't tell me you wouldn't feel some kind of way if, like me on the call center job, if you're at your job and you're working your butt off and it feels like you're overlooked because somebody got a promotion when it feels like, their performance wasn't as good as yours. And then they're the ones who get put on the pedestal with reaping the awards and blessings. Tell me you wouldn't feel some kind of way about that. That's why I say I feel like I'm entitled to feel how I feel. And I know that might make me sound ungrateful and selfish, but you can't tell me I have no right to feel that way. And true, I mean, it's just like, and I'm using this comparison loosely, it's like, the whole vaccination. Like, if you want to get it or not, that's up to you. Feel how you feel. Even if we disagree, feel how you feel. And like I said before, people saying like you were robbed, it's ridiculous. I don't blame you for wanting to quit. But, I want to say like the past week in itself has kind of been hell in a handbasket because of certain other things that happened. And I'll keep this segment short, but over, I want to say a couple days prior to the reunion, I brought this up in both a video and a poll, which I deleted after only a few hours because of a few nasty comments. And you all know the house situation, how I'm at my parents' house, even though I was supposed to be in my own house by now. I contacted HUD, as a lot of people suggested. I actually contacted them a few months ago, but long story short, I talked to them, hey, I'm self-employed. They're talking about the whole profit and loss thing, but I want to prove my earnings now should warrant an approval on a mortgage because of how much I make versus how much I spend and this and that. And my credit score is just in the very good range and whatnot. And they said they would contact me back. And like 10 days later, because they said 2 or 3 days, nobody did. So I contacted them a few days ago. It took like 80 minutes to get somebody on the phone. And they gave me the runaround. It's like, oh, did you check your inbox? I'm like, yeah, I mean, they said they would call me or email me. I didn't get anything. It's like, well, check again. So for whatever reason, this particular email was sent to my spam, which it never was initially. And it was pretty much a generic, oh, we'll talk to an underwriter for approval on a mortgage. And I'm like, well, sir, I've contacted well over 70 different mortgage companies, housing lots, banks with my situation. It's like, well, yeah, see, the thing is, we're only here to kind of guide you. We're not here to approve anything. I'm like, well, the other guy, you know how it is when you're dealing with customer service. Again, as somebody who worked in customer service at a restaurant for like a summer, I've worked in the call center 3 years. Trust me, I know when I'm getting good service and when I'm not. It's like 1 minute, it seems like they're super helpful, but then the next minute it's like they just flip the script like, yeah, we're brushing you off. That's how it felt. So I'm like, this was my last shot at getting any sort of financing, because the guy who was supposed to survey the land got backed up due to Elsa coming through and flooding a bunch of areas where he had initial work to do. So allegedly he's supposed to come out within the next week or two, but I'm not counting on it because I got to get the land surveyed, then update the deed to have those 5 acres of land in my name so I could put a house on it and possibly use that land as a quote unquote down payment for the house because of my self-employment. So because of HUD not helping, I literally had no way of getting any sort of money, because my mom's like, at this point, you might have to just outright buy a house off the lot. So it's just saving up the money. And, I got a few thousand in saving and counting. And I put up a poll. I'm like, I didn't want to do this, but, I just want to see, where the chips would fall. And I said, if I were to start a GoFundMe for this house thing, who would donate? And I just asked the question. I said, yes or no. And I'd say it was about 8 hours. I'll put the screenshot of the poll here. And it was like 8 hours. And I think it was a close split. Like 52% said yes, 48% said no. I forgot the exact amount of the votes, but it was a couple hundred, I think. And I made the mistake of going to the comments. There were like 5 people. This is selfish. GoFundMe is for emergencies only. I love your reviews, but not enough to donate for a house. Do something for yourself. I want a house too. Like, that shit hurt because it's like, yo, I wasn't asking for a handout. It's like, I'm going to assume these people are those who are unfamiliar with the house situation, because I've mentioned this in other extensive videos about this being a long journey since January, getting scammed, getting months to get my money back from a housing place I actually put a few $1,000s on, and just running into dead end after dead end. So to have the people who I felt supported me kind of like think I was trying to manipulate and use them really felt like being kicked in the face by those I made content for. So that was, you know, like a hit below the belt. And then even further, a couple days later, when we get to the reunion special, the OWN network and the haves and the have-nots, which I've dedicated years to, doesn't invite me out to the reunion. That felt like an even bigger, you know, F you. So you can imagine all that culminating in one explosion that night where I just felt like I can't do this shit anymore. Seriously, so for everybody who commented, you're an opportunist, you are selfish, you're acting entitled, I hope if you made it this far in the video, you can understand, wow, you really did put in work over the years. That is kind of effed up. So I know my mom, she was upset, but not as much as I was. My dad was indifferent about it. Yeah, whatever. It's like, you'll have another he was saying, you know, at first, well, hey, there'll be another chance, maybe you have another opportunity and whatnot. I'm like, and this is, again, if this never happens, I understand, but at the same time, if it does, I don't know if it will feel the same. Even if by some stretch of the imagination, like let's say any of the BET shows I review, because I've been rocking with those shows since day one, and any of the cast should be able to tell you that. Even if I got invited to Tyler Perry Studios because of Sisters or Bruh or Ruthless or whatever, it will be a phenomenal moment. Don't get me wrong, but it won't be the same. The haves and the have-nots are gone. Even if it came back, it wouldn't be the same. Like the final cast reunion, because to me that would have brought things full circle. That was the event to bring the cast together one last time, minus John Snyder, minus Tyler Perry. What was it? John was unavailable. Tyler was on vacation. So, I mean, that's not to say maybe during part 2 he didn't like film a video segment. I mean, who knows what part 2 is going to bring, but you got to understand, like, it won't be the same. Like, some people have said, well, Jeremy, think of it this way. Maybe the haves and the have-nots was the foundation, and then these other shows are like the stepping stones for you to eventually get there. And that's completely understandable, but this was the Ashley Miller, and then, and I'm sorry if I forgot your name, but I know you do the watch parties. Like, these two got the opportunity that you wish you could have had, you know? So you can't tell me you don't understand why I'm hurt. Like, I literally felt like you know, donkey.
You cut me deep, Shrek. You cut me real deep just now.
So I feel like you can understand where it's like the disrespect, the fact that it's like, yo, this guy, even if it was a shout out, that was partly why my mom was like, well, I know you couldn't go, but who's to say they won't shout you out or something? Like, you know what, it's all good, because I wanted to watch that reunion just to reminisce with the cast, because even I was promoting the reunion. I'm like, hey guys, I know people said they were done, like, I mean, hella done after that finale. I'm like, guys, like, you know, I know you say you're done, but watch the finale. Like, and I mentioned this in my Instagram stories, and some of the cast were like, hey man, thanks for shouting us out like that. Where I mentioned, and I don't take back what I said now, don't get me wrong, it's like, I know you're upset with how Tyler Perry wrote and ended the show, but the cast just did their jobs. I mean, the cast we grew up with over the past almost decade, like, I feel like, you know, we kind of owe it to them for bringing those characters to life, to sit back and reminisce about some of our favorite moments throughout the years. And that's why I said the finale's worth it. And don't get me wrong, like, I thought I was done. Like, as soon as the superfan moment came up, I wanted to walk away. I was like, I lost my appetite. My mom had made spaghetti and everything. I was like, I was like done. Like, you couldn't. I just wanted to end the channel and everything just right then and there. Like, you know what? That's it. I can't. This just next level. Just, I don't know. It's like, so, after all that, you know, actually reading through some of these comments now as I'm talking to you all, you know, from I like your voice, you can review other shows. I just started following you about a month ago, and other people are like, you know, there are bigger blessings coming your way. And don't get me wrong, as somebody, you know, who's a man of faith and whatnot, it seems like I'm going through the desert, well, mainly throughout the year. You know, like I said I recorded that one video like my first week at home, but that's like a month late and that's a lengthy video, so I'll probably have to revamp it. But I remember I'm always like a planner ahead of time, so I'm always stressed out about that kind of stuff, about like having things in order. Like, you know, the whole moving thing, how everybody but one person showed up to help move and turned out that was more than enough, and getting the U-Haul and getting the storage unit where everything just felt like it wasn't going to work, but then at the 11th hour, that's when it did. So people are like, you know what, well, hey, the houses you didn't get, you know, a better one's coming and this and that. But it's like, you know, to work so hard. It's like when I finished up college and, you know, came home.
My mom threw me out the house, man. Man, you ever notice when you're in high school, you your mama's baby? But when you graduate, you that nigga walking around the house?
It just felt like then, you know, my parents just didn't really allow me to feel. It's like, instead of like realizing the weight on my shoulders, like, wow, that was a major chapter of my life done, 4 years away from home. Now I'm back, not really feeling comfortable because I'm not used to it. It feels like even though I got a master's, I don't have an opportunity set up. And then, you know, that's what led to the whole call center thing, because they were so in a rush to get me out of the house that's how I ended up there. And then I took matters to my own hands and quit, and then made this channel. So it's like the same vein where the haves and the have-nots was over. You know, like, I wasn't worried about the channel after the haves and the have-nots because of all these other shows I review. But at the same time, you know, that was a major chapter of my life I had to close the door on. But then when you have this final cast reunion and I'm not even invited to be a part of it, you can't expect me to not feel some kind of way. So, you know, I gotta say, like, yeah, I was like, you know what, the channel, I'll just leave it. It's whatever. Like, I'm not going to shut it down. Obviously, I can make residual income from ad revenue because there's always going to be people watching videos. And then I'm like, I'll just focus more energy towards my eBay store because the Pokemon card thing is still making a ton of money and whatnot. And I'll just focus full steam ahead and, you know, save money to get this house because, you know, because the thing was, I was focusing more on the negative than the positive. Like those 5 people that left those nasty comments, or the 48% that said no, I completely ignored the 52% people who said they would help if I were to start a house fund. But then somebody was like, hey man, you might not want to do a GoFundMe because not only will they take a percentage of the money, but those typically work best for those in an emergency situation. So I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'll just focus on, like, you know, the Cash Apps and PayPal. And it's like, I'm going to work my butt off continuously to make money. And if I can get like a few $1,000s or even $1 from any subscriber willing, I could put that in savings and hopefully have money to be like, yo, I got X amount of dollars. Can I get this house? Because like I said, the house would be for the sake of having way more space so I can do my eBay stuff, or having more space to have an entire room dedicated to YouTube so I can have it really set up with a desk mic and everything. I'll be doing more live streams and more, you know, I guess you could say edited content. It will be really legit. And, you know, to have people like you know, some of those people I recognize as people I gave away stuff to, you know, it's like, for people to say I'm selfish and manipulative, it's like, yo, I spent hundreds of dollars over the past 2 years between Walmart gift cards, Tyler Perry DVDs, giving those away, no charge. Even I paid for shipping. So to have some of those same people be like, yo, you ripping us off, that shit hurt. So combine that with the reunion thing and you can understand why I was feeling the way I felt. So all that's to say, yeah. Am I going to watch part 2 of the reunion? My mom's probably going to make me, though. So, I guess the main thing to really wrap things up with this particular channel, this particular video is, what's the future of the channel? And I mean, I guess it's kind of safe to say that, you know, when all things are said and done,
I'm not fucking leaving! The show goes on! They're gonna need to send in the National Guard or fucking SWAT team, because I ain't going nowhere!
mainly due to the fact that, well, I'm a person that keeps my promises, and even though I said I was done, like the picture, you know, had, you know, hashtag haven't have nots own and everything like that, it's like, I did make some promises to certain cast members about, hey, you know what, I got some ideas for like a spinoff or something along those lines, because I feel like the finale left some doors open, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a HAHN spinoff, but you know, like a Malone spinoff, or you know, some way of closing shop on all these characters, even the dead ones. I feel like there are some things we can you know, tie up loose ends on. But also there were fans who like asked me months ago, what are your rankings for the seasons and things like that. So there are a number of videos I have on the list that I have yet to do, because after the reunion, because remember the reunion day, I put out a lot of videos, but then I was like, yeah, once the part 1 reunions, because I do plan on doing a video about the reunion, but I'm like, it wouldn't make sense to do it until both parts have aired, and then I would do one video on it. But you know, I was like done, like for real, I was done. My dad's like, no, you can't quit, you want to quit getting paid. I'm like, I don't get paid by Tyler Perry Studios and them anyway. It's like, it's Google. And you know, between comments about other shows, like I told my mom, damn, we probably ain't going to get Saints and Sinners for a while, but you know what, maybe I'll start at episode 1 and do my reviews like that. People wanted me to talk about that show anyway. So you know, I have my ideas mapped out. It's just like, you know, changing the channel name and whatnot is going to be kind of tricky, because like I said, number one, I would lose my verification check on my YouTube channel, because I would have to then resubmit another one, and then that'll take months to get it. On top of that, I got almost 2,000 business cards with the Haves and the Have-Nots review, which I paid almost $80 for on Vistaprint, so I can't really change the name on that. My custom URL is still going to be the Haves and the Have-Nots review, so technically, even if I change the channel name and you look me up, the channel will pop up. Next, it's like the fact that it would be financially irresponsible, because I will say, thank God I checked my analytics last night, because I was still pissed. But when I saw how much the channel made this month, which in turn I feel was because of the finale and whatnot, the channel has made more money than it ever has in a single month. And I'm like, crap. Because when I showed my mom, she not only said, boy, if you don't get your ass up and get back to work, she pretty much threatened me with a Veronica level of evil. She pretty much threatened to not make deviled eggs and her, you know, bread rolls and whatnot during the holidays. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Not my mama biscuits. Not my mama biscuits, Gina.
Not my mama's biscuits. Not my mama's biscuits. I'm like, she know good and hell well I'm a picky eater, so she literally hit me where it hurts. Like, during the holidays, I do not eat like gravy and stuffing and turkey. I don't like that stuff. So she knows every holiday I only get like ham, mac and cheese, rolls / bread, whatever she makes, then deviled eggs and potato salad. And then for her to take that off the menu, I was like, that's some next level. Come on now, you literally are a
habitual line stepper.
Yeah, I quoted Rick James, Dave Chappelle's show. Yeah, I did it. So yeah, because of my stomach and my eating tendencies during the holidays, you will get more content. Mainly because I'm a kind of person, looking back, I'm like, it doesn't matter what the hell I do. I'm always going to be known as the Tyler Perry guy, as the Haves and the Have-Nots guy. Even if I revamped the channel and did just anime, they would still say you're the Tyler Perry guy. Because a lot of people know I'm into that stuff, because if I'm commenting on like new rock stars, comic story and comedy hype, M&J TV, music videos, yo, it's Have to Have Nots. It's like, what are you doing here? Because I comment on, I'm not as a troll, I leave some pretty good comments on other people's videos. And it's kind of like, I think in the interview, didn't Alfonso Ribeiro tell about Will Smith, like, look, if you do the Fresh Prince, you got to name your character Will Smith, because for the rest of your life, that's who you're going to be known as. And it's like, that's how everybody talks about him as Carlton. It's like, yo, Will Smith, I think Will Smith said that about Alfonso, but either way, it's like, yeah, it's the truth. So no matter what, because my YouTube plaque still says the Haves and the Have-Nots review. My business cards, the Haves and the Have-Nots review. Countless people know me as the Haves and the Have-Nots review. So even though the show's over, even if I never did another video on the show, I would still be known as the Haves and the Have-Nots guy. So I gotta go back to the damn trash can and pick my suit up and clean it so I can get back to work. So I do hope you understand that I will need a couple more days to get my mind right because of the fact that, well, I'm still working through some things. It's just the fact that the positive that I've been focused on the past few days has helped out by reading comments of people saying, please don't give up. And I mean, I'm not trying to pull a David Ruffin. It's like, and y'all begging me not to leave. And I refuse to let you go. It's like, just the appreciation. It's like, yo, I mean, you ought to do non-Tyler Perry shows. They don't deserve your support. I mean, you're doing more for the shows than they're doing for you, and you know, this and that. And I agree to an extent, but then I remember the positive feedback that I always get from the broadcast, namely Mike and Pam and Valerie, who love my commentary and my not so subtle crush on Valerie in general. So yeah, I guess I can't give up, even though I really wanted to, because you really couldn't blame me. It's like, yo, what if there's another event and then yet again I'm glossed over, even though I put in so much time and effort. Look, the BET shows I feel like will be a softer blow than the haves and have-nots because I haven't put as many years, but to be fair, those shows just came out. But then it's like, well, fam, I'm the only one reviewing a majority of those shows anyway. Like, you know, I do believe there is a YouTube channel called Ruthless TV, and they're actually really good. But I'm talking like, you know, day one, like, you know, Jeremy was on the case from day one. You know, the Oval, Sisters. I know Ashley Miller and a couple other people do review Sisters, but Ashley started season 3. A couple other people didn't start well into season 2. I was there from season 1. And I remember I skipped like 4 episodes because nobody was watching my content. But I rock with Sisters since day 1, as well as all the other shows. Bruh, I don't see nobody else reviewing bruh. But even if I quit even if I quit Tyler Perry content altogether, I would not give up bruh, because if you watch my bruh reviews, you know damn well I have the most fun, because that show is just, it's wacky, it's zany, and as a black man, to actually see a show focused on a group of young black heterosexual men, it's a joy in the world we live in today, where it's not a lot of heterosexual black men in leading roles like that. So I gotta support the bruhs. So bruhs, you got my back. I mean, I got your back. I ain't walking out on y'all. And so there's that. But just in general, thank you to everybody who had kind words to say, and even those who were a little bit harsher. You did kind of kick me in the butt, like, yo, you gotta get your ass up, man. You got too big of an audience just to throw it away, just change the content or this and that. So I appreciate your not so kind words, but I understand the message. And I'm not going to say I'm never not going to be in my feelings again, but at the same time, it's like, if I wasn't invited because I'm quote unquote, and oh yeah, shout out, I did listen to Ashley Miller's Haves and Have-Nots review for the finale 2 times in a row because it was funny as hell. And there's this one segment from her video at the beginning that had me going, yep, I feel the same way.
Having a finale, okay, because it felt so rushed. It felt so rushed. Did they just get canceled? Like, I need a definitive answer. I need somebody from the team. I need somebody from on. See, let me just say this. Excuse me. And I feel like my invitation to the goddamn reunion got lost in the mail, probably because y'all just seen some of my reviews, at least the last few of these reviews or whatever, and been like, bitch, you a little bit too real, and you saying your real, bitch, y'all don't want realness, okay? You don't want the real shit where everybody is really saying. I cannot sugarcoat it. I am a fan. Yes, will always be, but that means being a fan don't mean that you have to agree with everything that is going on. Trust and believe. Tyler Perry, what I need you to do, like, I like all your shows so far, okay? Well, most of them, okay?
Because I was like, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people say maybe because your commentary is too real and whatnot, and they didn't want anybody to bash the show or ask questions that would be, I guess you could say, against the happy nature of what they were doing in the reunion. And I'm like, well, I'm thinking if it was because of my quote-unquote realness, then why would I have been in those other 2 specials? You know, not to mention, anybody who knows me and what I do on the channel, I don't sit up here and just bash Tyler Perry content. I talk about the good and the bad, but even when I talk about the bad, I talk about ways in which it can be improved on. As opposed to like, this actor sucks, this storyline sucks, Tyler Perry needs writers, Tyler Perry needs directors. I talk about different ways the story could have gone to tell the story better, because guess what? I'm not watching the season as a season. I'm watching it 1 week at a time like a fan would. So if they quote unquote omitted me for being real, then yeah, I agree. That's their loss. I mean, I guess I won't review any more OWN shows anymore. Oops. But, you know, if they do a Greenleaf spinoff, I'm definitely going to review it because Desiree Ross is my girl, so I can't really let her down. So in any case, all that's to say, I will be back. Just give me a little time. Maybe I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe I'll be back next week. But either way, I turned a big 30 on August 29th, same day as Michael Jackson. But, you know, Virgo for life. So there's that, and just going to take a little time to focus on me. Let me focus on me and get myself back in the right mindset. Like I said, it could be in the next couple hours, maybe when I'm editing this video and it's like, yo, I miss this feeling. So I'm going to get back on the horse and you know, kind of like Bill on Bruh when he fell, but he ended up in the hospital. But, you know, we'll see. Like, some people are like, Jeremy, why don't you review the first 2 seasons of the show? Because technically speaking, you didn't start YouTube until like season 3. And why don't you do reviews on those old episodes? And that might be fun. Even though I did do that for If Loving You Is Wrong for like the first 2 or 3 episodes, but the reviews weren't really that good. So if I do the haves and the have-nots, then the views better be there. I'm not going to do it because I already did the first 2 episodes where I would watch the episode and then review it like I do for other shows. Like I'll review it like as if I was watching it in real time. Like, here's episode 3. So I'll talk about certain scenes and whatnot, and you know, the acting and how the show was great. So if that's something you want, yes, I'm still going to do my how I would have written the finale. Where does the show go from here? If it were to come back, where do haves and have not fans go from here? In general, there's so many things that I have listed. So again, please be patient with me. Let me get in the right mindset so I can get this stuff together, get back in the zone. And I know the Oval and Sisters came on and I didn't watch the reviews yet. Again, shout out Ashley Miller. She does great content. She did reviews for those shows already. Check those reviews out. I promise to have my Oval and Sister videos up before the next episodes, okay? They'll be out before Tuesday night or Wednesday. So, like I said, I'll get back in here, get back to work. OWN, y'all keep tripping. But either way, I'm just going to move forward and try to remember it's about you all, the viewers, the supporters, the subscribers, not these big companies who, well, don't really know who I am, apparently. So, thanks so much for tuning into this lengthy video. You also notice, like, after the whole house thing and people like, you know what, selfish. I don't even bother putting in my PayPal and Cash App in my videos anymore. They're in the description. The links, just like all social media stuff. I don't even say subscribe or whatnot. I'm at a point where it's like, let's see, you know, how many viewers really rocking with me. Like, by now, you should know to like and subscribe. Maybe I'll say it, but not in every single video. So, there we go. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. And, hopefully you'll hear from me soon.